Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the First and Last podcast with me and Jimmy. How are you, Jimmy?
I don't know how to answer that anymore. Pretty good. Yeah, not a whole lot. Just hanging with my puppy, and I pretty much still work from home, and my wife does not. So every day is kind of an adventure to what the 9-month-old puppy's gonna be like, and how much she's gonna try to destroy the house and myself, or be a good girl.
Well, yeah, but I've seen the pictures of her just lounging on the new patio furniture.
She does like to lounge. Yeah. Which is great. But there'll be, she's a puppy, so when she does have energy, it's like it explodes out of her for like an hour, and then she lounges.
You think she just has like a stash of sugar somewhere you don't know about?
It's very possible.
Your dog's like hoarding sugar that she's stealing.
Something.
I
wouldn't be that surprised. She's pretty clever. She's like clever to the point where it's like a problem, like where like she's like very treat oriented, but like after like 6 of those treats, she's like, yeah, I've had those treats. I want different treats now.
I mean, that just, to me, that sounds like you have a picky dog, not.
No, but it's like other stuff too. It's like she learns the rhythm, and then like she knows your move, and she knows what's like she sleeps in a crate at night, right? So like if I go anywhere near it like during the day and like call her, she's like, nah. No, I'm not.
It's not time to go to sleep.
I'm not dumb. I'm not coming over there because like we will crate her sometimes to like if we want to go out for like a little bit.
Right.
We need to go run an errand, and she's too young to trust her to not destroy something.
Mm-hmm.
And like she's like, yeah, I'm not playing that game. I know that game.
But sometimes she's got to play that game. I guess we can deal with the elephant in the room, or maybe the lack thereof. We got rid of Joe.
Finally booted him.
No,
him off.
He's taking the week off, heading to see some family for the first time in what seems like a decade.
Yeah, dang. Yeah, have you seen is there anyone you haven't seen in over a year?
Oh, I'm sure, right? I mean, like my grandma,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. I was going to say, I just saw my grandparents last weekend for the first time in, 15 months or whatever. And like, I didn't really think about it until it was happening. And I was like, oh my God. Like, also, you're an old person. It's very possible you would not have made it this far.
Right.
I know several people who lost grandparents, It's just weird.
Yeah, I gotta make a. Now that it's nice out here and I'm vaxxed and relaxed, I gotta make a grandma hangout time.
Yeah,
so we can like sit on our patio and have lunch or something like that.
Sounds great
and be good. But I've seen most of my other family because one of them tried to blow themselves up.
Right.
Like at the beginning of everything, so and whatnot.
Yeah. I was gonna say that I forgot about that, but every time I see the gas can in my garage, I kind of like just look and make sure nothing's around it.
Yeah, listeners, if you have old gas sitting around in a gas can, the fumes are very dangerous. And if you light a fire around it, those fumes can ignite, and that is bad for your health.
Yeah.
So be careful. But Joe's not here. It's just me and you. So the honor of telling everybody what first and last befalls on you, Jimmy.
Oh, God. Do I even know?
Do you know how this podcast works?
I think what we do is we pick a show that normally we haven't seen at all or very little of most of the time. Every once in a while, it's like, okay, I'm bringing this show to the gang because I love it and they maybe haven't seen it. But most of the time we haven't seen it, and we watch the pilot, and then we discuss. We try to predict the future and how the series finale will end. And we're mostly wrong. And then and then we tally those points at the end of several, shows, and I think we're something like 180 some shows into this.
This is 192.
No way.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
And, I mean, that's TV shows. Well, that's episodes.
no, that's episodes.
That's
So we're like
episodes,
180
so,
some.
Yeah, probably 180
shows
TV.
in. We got a list somewhere. Yeah, and we haven't really gotten any better at predicting the future.
No, I feel like
Which is
there's
good.
like 1 week where I'm like, dang, we all did great. And then the next 3 weeks we get like one prediction out of all of us.
Some shows, sitcoms, you're going to have your wedding or your funeral or both. Or you're moving away from the whatever titular Full House. No, they don't move, do they? Because they're still in it in Fuller House. Anyway.
Yeah, not Full House, of course. Step by step, they move at the end.
Classic.
Yeah, we watch that. Well, since it's no Joe week, annual holiday, I think we're going to start celebrating here on First and Last.
No Joey.
No Joe week. I decided it was my show to pick, but I decided to go with something that I think you like, and that Joe would also like. Like I picked the genre of what I know you're into, but then instead of going full Jimmy, I leaned more towards Joe would be into this to make him a little bit sad that he missed it.
Okay, to make him want to come back.
Right. Obviously,
Interesting.
Generally when we watch a TV show, if there's a character in those TV shows that are from, say, The Flash or Arrow or Gotham or something, you'll be like, that's where they're from.
Yeah.
Because you like superhero shows. Generally, specifically WBDC superhero shows.
Well, because those are the prominent ones. I should say there aren't a lot of Marvel TV shows except for now on the Plus.
Yeah,
but
the
those
Disney.
are still going, presumably. I guess we won't know if those are one-offs or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
I bet
like-
WandaVision was a one-off.
Yeah, I mean, why wouldn't it be? I guess
It would be
having seen all that.
insane to do a. Yeah. Anyway,
But
I do love the Flaro.
so since you like the superheroes, I decided to meet us in the middle in that way. And so this week we're going to do heroes.
Oh no way!
Yeah.
Oh man, how have we not done heroes yet?
I don't know. Yeah.
And B, I was super into this when it started and fell off. Like, was it even because wasn't there a writer's strike?
Yeah, this got hit hard by the writer's strike.
Yeah, some of the best shows did. So this did not last long after that, if it even lasted after that, right?
So I can't remember. Now I'm trying to think of what season
How
the
many
writer's strike.
seasons?
So right off the bat, we'll go statistics. This was 4 seasons
Give me the numbers.
and 77 episodes.
Okay.
It was on NBC originally.
Okay, yeah, that tracks. I've definitely not seen 4 seasons of Heroes. I bet I've maybe seen a season of Heroes.
Okay, well that's good because I've seen all of them. Just FYI.
Okay, fun.
Save the cheerleader, save the world.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Okay, here you go. Season
Silas,
2.
isn't that a
So
guy?
yeah, this show got screwed because I feel like season 1 was amazing. It was great. It's probably the season you've seen. If you've seen if anyone listening to this, if they've seen Heroes at all, I would hope they've seen some of season 1 for the most part. Season 2, according to Wikipedia, coincided with the writer's strike, meaning that only 11 out of the planned 24 episodes were produced in season 2.
Oh man. Oh, so they didn't even get to do the full season.
Yeah, so season 1, and they switched them up to they created these and they named the seasons. They call them volumes, but they named the seasons.
Interesting.
Season 1 was called Genesis. Season 2 is supposed to be called Generations, but it only went 11 episodes. So I don't even remember how season 2 ended. I don't know if they just cut out a bunch of the middle stuff. I don't know. Who knows?
Skip to the end.
Season 3 was actually divided up into 2 halves. It was 25 episodes. The first half was called Villains, and the second half was called Fugitives. And then season 4 was called Redemption, which, if I can remember correct, wasn't super great and didn't redeem it very well.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
And so this went September 25th, 2006, and then it ended in February of 2010. So that May 2007 through December 2007, like all that was when the writer's strike was happening.
Yeah.
Or maybe right before it, obviously, because this is when those came out. So, yeah, this is one of those shows that there's 2 shows that I think of when I think of the writer's strike, and I think of how Heroes got just screwed because of it, like especially coming off what I thought was a really good season. Yeah. And then the other one was a Dr. Horrible sing-along blog, which was like that little like musical miniseries starring Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah.
And they wrote...
And Nathan Fillion.
Nathan Fillion was in it too. And that was a Joss Whedon bit. Joss Whedon and his brother.
Oh, that makes
Jeb
sense.
Whedon, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because they co-wrote, like, I think, and they did that. And that was one of those, like, oh, man, the writer's strike can make this kind of stuff happen. Like, this was awesome.
Oh, that's how that happened?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident it basically just came out because it was a writer's strike.
That makes sense.
Like,
Take
the
to
actors
the web.
didn't have anything else to do, you know?
That's when webisodes became a thing because of the writer's strike.
Yeah, so that little, like...
interesting. I would love to do a deep dive into more of that kind of stuff. The one other show that I think of is The West Wing, because right smack in the middle of The West Wing, I mean, had like first through 3 seasons was like just into the stratosphere, and then the writer's strike happens in season 4 is just bonkers. It's like you get, I mean, who did they get in these writers' rooms after that then? A bunch of interns just like throwing anything, because like all of a sudden, like, it's a political drama, right? Like,
yeah,
in a lot of ways, like, that's really hard to make interesting.
Well, I mean, you got to be really knowledgeable about the subject matter to like even basically be able to write about it.
And there ain't no interns that are like also poli-sci, like, you know, majors. They just were just like this, like, people die, and like, it's like, wait, what? Like, this is not that kind of show. But then it comes back around, and I assume that's when the writers. So by the end of Heroes, the writer's strike is over.
I mean, I don't think it lasted 3 years. Like, Heroes is over in 2010.
Yeah.
I just don't think it ever got back to where it was in season 1. I don't know if like the original writers just never came back. Yeah. Or they didn't care anymore, or maybe, I mean, you know, maybe they just had a really good season 1 idea, and their rest of their outlines lost for their show just wasn't as good. You know,
makes sense.
Could be interesting. I mean, you know, it's like Lost had a lot of steam taken away from it, just being a show that didn't know how to write itself.
Just being an Abrams show for too long.
But like, it was good for a while, and then people hate it.
Yeah.
So there's that. So what have you seen of Heroes then? Or do you recall?
Oh man, very little. So I remember Silas, and I remember
the Zachary Quinto guy. Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah,
the guy who plays Spock.
Yeah, Spock. That's what I was trying to remember. Man, he took off from Heroes, and I feel like
he's great in Heroes season 1.
Yeah. I feel like he's the only one that like really took off after this. And then I'm going to butcher the Japanese actor.
Oh, the guy who plays Hero?
Oh, is that
the guy who plays Hero? Oh, the guy who plays Hiro Nakamura.
Hiro, like the name.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I remember him, and then obviously Hayden Panettiere, however you say her name. Yeah. Why can't I?
Of Nashville fame.
It is. Yeah, right. Wasn't she in like was she in Remember the Titans?
Hayden?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, she's the little girl in Remember the Titans.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, and literally like those three people are all I remember of this entire show.
Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like most of those people are in all of the seasons, but
Okay.
I'm not sure.
And aren't they discovering? They're like people are discovering powers as they go. And Silas, isn't his power just to steal powers?
I think he figures. Is Silas? Is that what his name is?
Am I making this up?
I think it's close to that, but I can't think of if that is correct.
I'm trying to pull up the IMDb. I don't even see him. Is he maybe not in?
Oh, he's in
the beginning.
He's in the first season for sure.
Let me pull up the.
I just don't think it. I feel like it's close. It might be
not
Silas,
that.
but yeah.
What's his name? Siler.
Yeah. See, here we go.
Siler. Yeah. Now that comes out of my mouth, that feels better.
Yeah. Now it's slightly different.
More correct.
If I can remember correctly, his like superpower is very ambiguous for a long time.
Okay.
And I think essentially he understands how things work because he's like a son of a watchmaker, and his power apparently is kind of like that.
Okay.
Like he figures it out.
Sure.
So I think then he just becomes evil, and he figures out essentially how powers work in people, and then he knows how to take them out of them.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I think and then there's Peter Petrelli, who he can just have every power.
Oh my god.
He can just, if he like touches you or something, he gets your power.
Okay. He's rogue.
Yeah, but he doesn't hurt them. I don't think he takes it from them. I think he just absorbs it and also has it. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
So yeah, this first season's definitely like all those like main. When you think of the cast of heroes, all these people are getting their powers, learning what they are, figuring it out, becoming good, becoming evil, whatever.
Classic.
If I can recall correctly, in this pilot, our first episode, it's Claire is Hayden Panettiere's character,
Okay.
Claire Bennett. I believe her character, because she's like just invulnerable, right? She just like can't get hurt, can't die. Because I remember the phrase "save the cheerleader, save the world."
Yeah. And is she the cheerleader?
She's the cheerleader.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But why would you need to save her if she can't die?
You're gonna have to watch the whole first season.
Yeah. I don't remember at all.
I going into this first episode, my my nostalgia of this show tells me that this is a really good pilot. Like this makes you want to just roll right into episode 2.
Yeah.
Like you really let's keep going. I'm expecting this show to like start off like a 9 out of 10 and end at like a 5 out of 10.
Okay.
So, what do you think happens in the pilot? Because I feel like you're at least foggy enough where anything you say may or may not be true.
I think that we're gonna see the key people, the Hayden. I assume we're gonna see by the end of this pilot, Hayden, realizing or like being like she should be super hurt and isn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're gonna see what I assume basically is just this is just X-Men, right? It's just people that. Like some people have just the mutant gene, and Hayden has hit puberty, and now her powers are coming out, and then we're gonna have, and I feel like that it's got to be Hero that like actually has had powers and knows what's up and is already like Professor X,
I always thought
or
it was
an X-Man.
right. I always thought it was weird, at least as far as the fact that they have a character named Hero in Heroes, and this is such an ensemble cast where it doesn't necessarily feel like anyone's the main character. And I was like, why did you name him the show title? Name him anything else.
I mean, yeah. It's obviously it's spelled differently because it's Japanese.
It is, yeah, it is.
It's not the word.
It's not the word hero
because that's not a name.
But you say it the same.
Yeah, I know that. I feel like in my mind that's confusing to me, but also I am just a Caucasian millennial, so especially when this came out, it confused me.
I think the term for you, I heard this on a different podcast I was listening today, is they call us...
Are you going to do the Chugs?
They call us geriatric millennials.
Whoa, what?
If you were born between 1980 and 1985, which we were both right at the beginning of 85. We're old millennials, because millennial goes to like...
It depends on who you ask, because I've seen that we're like the very eldest of millennials, and that there's another group beyond, like from like 84, but or that we're like that like 80 to whatever, 90.
I heard someone call us geriatric millennials today, and I was like, I'm 36.
That's deeply offensive.
Yes, my back hurts, but I'm only 36.
My back does kind of hurt.
Exactly. Let's find out if this is disappointing. Oh, it's not. It's the first episode of Heroes is called Genesis, which is the name of the volume of season 1 entitled Genesis. So
I wonder if that was after the fact or not. We'll find out.
We'll find out. This is on Peacock, so we're gonna watch it on that just glorious new streaming service. It's popping up. So let's just do it. We're gonna watch the first episode of Heroes called Genesis, and we'll be back after that. And we're back. We're done with the first episode of Heroes. It was called Genesis. Do you got a write-up?
I do. Various people around the world discover evidence of real superpowers. Claire Bennett can instantly heal physical injuries to her own body. Isaac Mendez can precognitively paint future events. Hiro Nakamura
Minority Report.
Exactly, he's a precog. Hiro Nakamura is able to manipulate time, travel through it, and even teleport. He does some of those things. I guess he does.
Presumably, at the end of the episode, he teleported himself to New York.
Yeah, he did that. Did he travel through time? I guess if he.
It seemed weird. It seemed weird how he did it, because it seemed almost like a dream. Like, I don't know. It just seemed. It seemed weird.
Yeah, if you close your eyes for long enough.
I'm in New York right now.
Peter Petrelli has dreams of himself flying in Manhattan. Okay. Nikki Sanders witnesses a more violent and aggressive personality of herself in mirrors. And Mohinder Suresh tries to continue his recently deceased father's work by finding all of these people.
And Mohinder Suresh doesn't have powers. He has a dad.
He knows something about genetics because his dad... Well, and he's like a professor as well.
Yeah.
But his dad has done some research, and they think that there's some super... How would he know where these people are? He seems like... Oh, because he took his dad's box of research.
His dad went to New York, and his dad died, so he went to New York and is in his dad's apartment now.
Mm-hmm. And while he was there, he ran into Claire Bennett's dad. We find out at the end of the episode. And he's clearly, at least they definitely are making him out to be a bad guy. They got a sinister vibes whenever Noah Bennett is on the screen.
Yeah, he's the only thing in like this episode that points to something mildly sinister, at least, as far as a actor within the show. Because everybody else seems like they're just they have powers and they're confused and or scared about them and are trying to figure them out. I feel like Claire is, I mean, she's invulnerable, so she jumped off a thing and just videotaped it with her nerd friend or whatever, and then ran through a train fire.
Yeah, saved a dude.
She's just making her invulnerability be like a thing she's mad about being in like a teenage pubescent girl. Like, you know, like, I'm 16, everything's terrible.
Yeah,
I'm
Claire,
also invulnerable.
Yeah, that's true. Claire, who's Hayden Panettiere or whatever, is definitely your like average mean girl. Like, she tells her like friend who videotapes her like jumping off of some farm equipment or some shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'll talk to you while people like at school while people can see me like talking to you.
Yeah. She's the attractive, popular cheerleader at school, and her problem is she can't get hurt.
Yeah. Rough life.
Yeah.
Rough life.
Poor Claire. And then there's the Petrellis. Because, yeah, there's like, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-ish, 7, like, kind of mini stories going on in this first episode.
Yeah.
There's a lot, actually.
There's a lot going on.
So
and
they
start to tie them all together, which is fun.
Yeah, they kind of they overlap a little bit, because then there's the Petrellis. There's Nathan Petrelli, who's he's running for Senate or something like that. I think he was Senate.
Yeah, which is very classic. His name is something crazy.
Oh, his real name?
His real name, but he's in a lot of stuff, but he's in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He becomes the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a little while.
Oh, yeah.
Post, Samuel L.
How many of these people were in your other superhero shows?
Oh, so many. Just wait. He's also a bad guy in Supergirl, by the way. I'm the Flareoverse.
Okay, there you
also,
go.
he's in Top Gun.
He is?
Yeah, he's one of the lesser folks, obviously.
I mean, if he's not Maverick or Iceman or Goose, who cares, right?
Right. His name's like Chopper or something like that.
Wait, he drives
Chipper?
I was like, is it Chopper? And he drives.
Can't be Chopper.
Yeah.
Nobody flies a helicopter in that movie.
Yeah.
Do they? I think his name's Chipper, but everyone has weird names. Yeah, and then the other Petrelli, Peter Petrelli, Milo Ventimiglia. He's big right now because he's been in This Is Us.
Oh, okay.
That's his big deal the last few years.
To me, his big deal is every time I see him in anything, I'm like, that's Peter Petrelli.
Yeah, right.
Because that's the first thing I ever saw him in.
As he should.
And he definitely has like a lesser role in this episode, wherein he becomes, I feel like, big in this show.
Yeah, I thought he'd be a bigger deal in the pilot.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you couldn't even tell if at the end. Well, we'll get there. We're not there yet.
And then there's Nikki Sanders. So she's like a single mom, which appears to be a single mom, and she was trying to get her kid into like a private school, and apparently borrowed money from the mob to get her kid into private school. But then when the mob came to collect the money, she like woke up afterwards, and they were all dead. And her reflection told her to be quiet.
They were not just dead. They were dismembered, like entrails everywhere, and there was a video camera on. So like that scene really took a turn. I mean, it was already bad. She's like a webcam gal, and that's how she makes her money.
That was the most like proper way. Like,
I don't know how.
My daughter's a webcam
what is that
gal.
Called? I'm sure there's a name for that, but
I know, it's just really
chat room harlot. What is what is that profession?
Lady of the cam.
OnlyFans. Yeah, cam. I don't know. Anyway,
She's making a living.
she's doing her best, you guys, and she's paying for this expensive private school, and she donated a huge chunk of money just to get this kid into. She what's the Full House lady went to prison? We were just talking about
Uncle
this.
Jesse's wife. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
pulled in Uncle Jesse's wife just to get this kid in there, but she also borrowed lots of money from like loan sharks or something and murdered them all.
Yeah. So she's got like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing going on where
Yeah, with like the mirror verse.
with the mirror. Yeah.
Weird.
And then all the way across the globe in Japan, we got Hiro, who is trying to convince his friend. His friend's in this for a while too, and I don't remember what his name is.
It's Ando,
Ando?
I think is how you say
Okay.
it.
He's trying to basically convince Ando that he can control time and or teleport,
Yeah.
and Ando doesn't
Who
believe
doesn't
him.
believe him? Yeah.
And there's like hints towards him manipulating some of that stuff throughout the episode. And then at the end, he's like on a subway car or a train in Japan. Then all of a sudden he's in Times Square.
Yeah. And that's like one of the last scenes, which is really fun.
Yeah, that's near the end. And
Those
then
two are maybe my favorite part of this. So far.
those two, yeah, they're fun. And then Mohinder, he started off in India, and then found out his dad died. So then he came to New York to figure out, and his dad is obviously trying to chase whether or not superpowers exist or something like that. He's a geneticist, and his
We
dad
assume.
died somehow.
Yeah, probably in some sketchy way. The guy, another guy. So at the beginning, Sonder, what is that his name?
Who?
Mohinder.
Mohinder? Okay.
Sendil is his name.
His dad?
Is his real name.
Oh,
Sendil
I get it. I
Ramamurthy,
get what you're saying. Got it.
who's also in Flash and is the big bad. I think probably still. I don't know. I kind of fell off.
The guy who plays Mohinder is like the current big bad in Flash.
He's been like in Flash for quite a while.
Oh,
He has
really?
a very like English accent, which was interesting to actually hear him like talk in like an Indian accent in this, because I think he's from London.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, he's like your big bad classic who like starts out as this doctor trying to do good things, and then some horrible things happen, and now he's
and
a
now he's the bad guy.
superpowered guy.
Bad
Yeah.
guy in Flash. Who can probably also run fast.
No, actually, he can't.
Oh, weird.
I don't really totally understand. He seems like he's undead. I'm not really sure what his power is.
Well, in Heroes, he doesn't have powers.
Yeah, he's like the
At
only
least
one.
not right now.
He's like the only one except for maybe Ando. But maybe Ando does, and we just don't know yet.
But he runs in. He has a run in. Well, Noah Bennett, Claire's dad, is like in the apartment when he gets to New York. But then he like runs away without getting caught by Noah. And then Mohinder, runs into Peter Petrelli in the cab that he's driving.
Oh,
They
yeah.
talk for a little bit, and then right out once Peter gets out of the cab, then Noah gets into the cab, and then Mohinder like runs away from him.
Which, how could you possibly know? That's like you're saying that Noah Bennett knew where Peter Petrelli was going to get out of this cab.
Well, and he didn't even get out where he was originally going. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got called by Simone, who we'll talk about in a second.
Oh, that's
And he
right.
was like, oh, yeah, I'll be where you are in like 10 minutes. And then he said, yo, Mohinder, I'll get out here instead of my planned spot.
Yeah.
And then Noah got into the
Yeah.
cab, which means what? Was he just running along the road chasing his cab or something? Or
Yeah, does he, I mean, conspiracy, so did he set up this whole, so have we even talked about Simone and Isaac?
no, we're
We
on our
haven't
way.
even gotten there yet. So did he set up all of that so that they had to stop right there? Like, oh man.
I think
Who
it
knows?
was just movie magic.
Yeah. Either way, Noah seems like a baddie, and Mohinder is just constantly trying to get away from this guy.
Yeah, I feel like we're just looking too much into the fact that it was just
I'm just ready for round 2.
I think the answer was what a crazy random happenstance.
Sure.
And then so Peter goes, because Peter is Simone, who is this lady who's got like a sick dad, and Peter is like the dad's like caretaker nurse. And so then she calls Peter to come over.
She's also in Supergirl, by the way.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
A little bit.
Man, once in a superhero show, always in a superhero show.
I
Is
think
that kind of?
so. I think you're just, it's on the, it's on your resume now. And
Yeah.
so get it done.
I can act with and pretend to be or be around superheroes.
I mean, especially if you're trying to audition for like the Flareverse, like Heroes, like season 1. That's like classic superhero stuff now.
Yeah.
To like writers now, you got that on the resume. Like, yeah, we'll work you in somewhere.
Yeah, you know how to run fast. But so she has a relationship with Isaac, who is a man who can apparently paint the future.
Yeah, precog.
He definitely was trying to figure out. He was like discovering that he's like, I painted this in this 3 weeks ago, and this bus crash happened in the paper today. And so she was gonna get Peter to inject morphine into Isaac, I think, to help him paint the future more. Because
something.
the very last time,
Is that what she wanted morphine for?
she asked,
Oh yeah, because he's got to be high or whatever to do it. At
Yeah,
least
I think that's the thing.
that's what it seems like.
But it seemed like she left his apartment not believing anything he said and was like, you need to go to rehab, you druggie.
Right.
And then
That's
she
true.
immediately went to, I'm going to get some morphine from my dad, steal some sick morphine from my sick dad, and get the nurse to inject it into some random dude he doesn't know.
It does seem like
It seems like if Peter was at all a good healthcare worker, he would very much not say yes to this.
Yeah.
But he's a little crazy. He thinks he can fly. So
He's got his own stuff going on.
yeah.
And he did, so they get to Isaac, and he's like freaking out on the floor, tripping or whatever he's doing.
Some sort of OD.
And Peter just immediately walks away from this person who's clearly like
Needs
in
medical
some sort of
attention.
need, and he's just checking out the paintings of the precog events. And it's like, dude, this is your job. Like, what are you doing over there?
I mean, he's not an EMT technically, but
No, but I'm pretty sure like EMT is on the way to nurse. Like he's steps above, you know?
yeah. He did also see a picture of himself.
Oh, is that
Yeah,
how
he
you
was
initially ran?
looking at a picture of himself like floating in the air, wearing the clothes he was wearing
Oh,
at the
dope.
time, and so then that leads Peter
Okay.
to go stand on a building and then call his brother Nathan so he can jump off the building.
That makes a lot more sense. now.
And then Nathan flies up and catches him or something.
Yeah.
And then Peter's like, Nathan, you're flying. And then that was at the end of the episode.
That was the end.
That was the end.
So like there was a few quick last things that happened. First, Hero teleports himself to like Times Square, and you're like, oh dang.
Yep.
And then Claire, her dad walks in, and it's the bad guy all along. You're like, oh dang. And then all these scenes are super short. And then Isaac, they walk in on Isaac like ODing or whatever, and they zoom back, and he's painted a picture of like a nuclear bomb going off in New York, and you're like, oh dang, that's what they're gonna spend this season trying to stop.
Yeah.
Clearly. And then Nathan actually seems like he's the one flying and grabs Peter, and then Peter starts falling, and then you get the ... to be continued, and you're like, how dare you?
Since we're not, I mean, spoiler alert, I think that's the point that or Peter then takes the power from Nathan and now is also able to fly.
Oh, because Peter takes powers.
Yeah, because Nathan's power is flying.
Yeah.
And then once Peter touches Nathan, I think while he's like using his power or something, he now can fly as well.
That makes sense.
So I think at that point they're technically both flying.
Sure.
But we don't know that. And we're not going to watch that episode, so we'll never know.
Ugh.
Not currently.
We could.
Cuz we're going to fast forward to the last one. But
yeah.
as far as a pilot, how was it?
A+.
Right? I told you like 9 out of 10, right?
9 out of 10 for sure. 90%.
Especially how it ended. Like you were if I wouldn't have stopped it, I think you just would have let us watch episode 2 there.
I was ready to at least roll in to see because come on. I mean, it wasn't even like a cliffhanger like in the traditional sense. It was like we are mid-scene. Like, you know,
Yeah.
It wasn't like the end of a scene and you're like, "Wait, what?" You're like, "Wait, this isn't over. Like this event is not done."
Yeah, and it was not like a 2 episode
Not like same night.
or anything. The
I was
second
gonna look at
episode was called Don't Look Back, and it was the week after.
Good Lord.
Both written by the creator Tim Kring.
Kring?
Kring.
Chris Kringle?
Tim Kringle.
Tim Kringle.
Yeah.
Timothy Kring.
So I mean,
Good job,
it could have
Tim.
very well been like a 2-hour premiere, but maybe NBC just didn't believe in it enough, and they were like, "No, let's just week to week."
Sure.
Because I feel like they could have been built up to be like, "This is gonna be nuts,"
Yeah. And it was.
and this is one of those 20 plus episode seasons. So
Yeah, this is network, guys. This isn't your streaming 10 episode bullcrap. You kids can't even handle 23 episode seasons anymore.
14.1 million viewers.
Woo! I mean, they earned it for sure. I mean, this is one of those shows, it's got so many characters and it does such a good job of balance and then like weaving it all while like keeping the plot moving and like just feels good. Like it doesn't like how long was that? That was a full like
42
whatever
minutes, yeah. Would have been
didn't
an hour
feel
on TV.
like it. You know?
It's interesting too because one of the other big things that pretty much I feel like everybody knows about Heroes is that Sylar wasn't in this episode. And like weren't you like waiting for him to show up at any like to start his origin story? Not in it at all.
Yeah. I realized that like I feel like I remember that he comes in later in the first season, but unless he dives right in it, because this, like you said, this isn't like pilot. This is we're going hard. So
Yeah, this is the start of the story for sure.
So like he's a part of the picture. We just aren't seeing him already, which is crazy.
Right. Pretty cool. Yeah, I think we're both in agreement. Everybody, watch this episode.
Watch this.
TV. Should we get into predictions?
No, I think we should just watch episode 2.
Oh, okay. We're gonna not do this show how it's supposed to be done, and we're gonna watch episode 2 instead.
And we aren't doing, to be clear, it's the first 4 seasons, right? Because then there was like the
there's Heroes Reborn,
which is like a
That's a different show as far as I'm concerned.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Heroes Reborn. So we are watching Heroes. What we're doing predictions on is Heroes season 4, episode 18, which is the last of that, called Brave New World. And I've seen it. I don't really remember much. What I told Jimmy, who hasn't seen it, is it has something to do with a carnival people that also have powers. And I'm pretty confident in my remembrance that Peter, Sylar are definitely in this, and maybe Claire, and maybe Hero, but I can't quite remember.
Okay. And bad guys that smell like cabbage.
Yeah.
Got very small hands.
Carnies. Austin
Go for
Powers is in this episode. So my first prediction is Peter saves a child.
Okay.
Just seems like a hero thing to do.
Yeah. Maybe a cat
I
as well.
maybe, but it's not. If it's unless it's a kitten, a child cat, I guess it doesn't count.
Child with a kitten.
Number 2, I think Sylar sheds some blood.
Ooh, okay, I like it.
Number 3, I think there's somehow a different dimension or world.
Ooh,
Like I think maybe a different
Earth 2?
reality or something. Yeah.
the multiverse.
Yeah, maybe some sort of multiverse. I can't.
It's got to be multiverse if it's any sort of self-respecting comic show.
Yeah, right. And then my last one is I think the motivation for the bad guy is he's trying to kill all humans that don't have powers.
Ooh, he's a Magneto.
Yeah, I think he's doing something silly like that.
I almost
Wasn't Magneto's goal to make people into mutants?
Yeah, if you watch the first X-Men movie, yeah. Were we just talking about this? Did I dream this?
Start the conversation you had in your dream, and I'll tell you about it.
So in X-Men 1, he turns that senator guy.
Senator Keene.
He tries to give the senator powers with whatever weird machine he tries to do this with, and it turns him to like a liquid man.
Yeah,
which is like what the guy in the first episode of Fringe, the pilot of Fringe, is like turning into.
Yeah,
that's what he looks
slowly.
like to me. I feel like I've been like dreaming this since then.
Yeah, I don't recall any of this conversation.
Anyway, my predictions are. I almost said that the bad guy was going to be named Eric, like Magneto.
Oh,
but I didn't write it down.
Maybe he is. I'm going to laugh really hard if that guy's name is Eric.
I'll be so pissed. Eric Magnus.
How about this? We'll add it 1 point if he's named Eric, 1 to you, 1 point to me if he's named anything else.
Oh, what? Disagree.
All right.
Number 1, Peter flies, obviously, but also has like, oh, shoot. So now we know that he has like 1,000 powers probably.
Does he?
So, well, what I said was he has a second power beyond flight.
All right. Well,
I think Peter has 2 powers.
Okay. Yeah.
At least.
There's things I know that you don't know. So
okay. Well, probably is just dead. Or
it could be true. That could technically still be true. So.
Number 2, Sylar can't die because the whole thing is save the cheerleader, save the world, because if he gets her power, then he can't die, and he's like the big baddie kind of ish.
Yeah, I believe that's the kind of the reason is because if Sylar can get her power in season 1,
that's what I feel like.
Yeah,
but so I feel like he got her, and so he can't die. That's number 2.
Okay,
number 3, Hero teleports a bad guy. Like he teleports someone else away. So it's not just he can teleport himself now.
Okay, he can grab people.
He
and
teleports someone else.
But specifically a bad guy is what
what I wrote is bad guy.
Okay.
Like that's a move.
So as long as basically if Hero teleports any form of carny, I'll probably accept.
Excellent.
Yeah. Because carnival workers are bad guys.
You can't trust them. Doesn't mean they're bad.
They all have 2 first names.
And then number 4, Sylar dies.
But he can't die.
Yeah.
Interesting.
By the end,
it's like a reverse double down.
Yeah.
All right, let's watch this last episode of Heroes. It was called Brave New World. It debuted on February 8th, 2010. We'll be back after that. And we're back.
And we back.
We done with the finale of Heroes, Season 4, A Brave New World. Do you have a write-up, Jimmy?
I do. Everyone bands together in an effort to stop Samuel from taking the lives of thousands. Peter joins forces with his most unexpected ally to save Emma, who is Sylar. Sylar's the unexpected ally. Meanwhile, Noah's life hangs in the balance as he and Claire find themselves trapped underground with oxygen quickly running out. Elsewhere, Hero starts to come to grips with the decisions he has made, and a hero reveals herself to the world.
See, isn't it confusing that his name is Hero?
Yeah.
Because the hero is Hero, but the hero is also Claire.
Right. That's true. Yeah, so she tosses herself from a Ferris wheel.
Right. Was that the end of the thing?
That's the end of the summary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, so the basic synopsis of the last episode was there was a carny man named Samuel, like the king of the carnies, and he was using this lady named Emma who could play the cello.
Yeah,
but her like
kind of powers.
She's like some sort of music powers. And her cello like it was attracting people to the carnival. And then Samuel's
classic Pied Piper.
Yeah, basically. And what I gathered was Samuel's plan was to then murder the regular people that were there to just show the world that people with powers exist.
So is this what I'm getting is that this is a carnival. These are carnies that are all people with powers.
It's what I get. I think
it's
so.
Like join our like freak circus.
Yeah.
And no one will know that we have powers. They'll just think that it's a show or whatever, and we can kind of live in some sort of harmony. But really, this guy is just a freaking psychopath.
Right. And Samuel can he can like make earthquakes he can make the earth rumble and stuff. But it seemed like he could only really do it like his powers became more powerful as people were around. And then when there was nobody around, he didn't really have powers.
Yeah. And was he gaining those powers from the humans being around? Was it from his buddy carnies? Who's to say?
I mean, I feel like it's just any living soul. I feel
maybe
you would assume a power
Peter was
hungry.
there.
Yeah, but it's like one person.
Huh.
And Peter definitely took his power, so now they both have equal one human power.
Equal earthquake power.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Man, if I had a superpower, I would be really pissed off if it was limited to if I was around people or not.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you moved to the city, right?
You definitely moved
pretty
to the
close
city
to people at all times.
Or if it was one of those like I become a nuclear bomb, then it's like great, now I live in northern Idaho, I guess.
Northern Idaho. Yeah, I guess if your power was you had to be around people and you just spent, over a year in quarantine, probably kind of bummed. Can't use your power. Quarantine.
I live in an apartment building, so I feel like I've got a little
proximity.
I got a low rumble at all times, right?
Just a little earthquake.
Mm-hmm.
Just in whatever floor you're on.
I mean, right away, it doesn't seem like he's probably going to kill what?
His powers are dumb, right?
Yeah, they're dumb. There was only a couple thousand people there, like max. Yeah. So he was going to kill a couple thousand people, and then the U.S. government was going to send a sniper and go.
Yeah, he had no backup plan.
And everyone in the carnival that was with him were definitely weren't into his idea.
They ditched him pretty quick.
Yeah. So he was going to be alone immediately. And all he was going to do was ruin it for everybody else.
Yeah.
He's that guy that gets to work from home and gets caught playing Xbox. And then no one else gets to
everybody
work.
Over. Yeah. I was definitely on some Zoom calls in the past year when I called some people out for clearly watching a football game or something. Okay. I can see flashing in the background and your eyes keep going over. You the TV, flash.
I can't imagine being on a video work call and pretending like you're paying attention when you're obviously looking at something else.
This was a couple years ago, or just totally going off, but so I've been using Zoom in like grad school for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
Because it's just like what you do. And a lady definitely fell asleep, which is pretty fun.
That's amazing.
Like full on was, I mean, and it's a long, to watch a lecture for 2 hours in class sucks, but to watch it on Zoom, like from home, from whatever state you're in, is tough. But she just like slowly, you just watch her like getting lower and lower and more of just, you're just seeing her forehead now. And that shot.
Was there did she have to have her, like she was at school? She was just attending.
No. She was not she was present like via the Zoom. Some of us were in class.
Right, but like I'm just saying, like she was attending school.
Yeah.
Does she have to have her video on for class?
I mean, I would not think so.
That's what I'm saying. Like, why, if she was gonna not pay attention, fall asleep, or even if you were like, oh man, I might fall asleep during this, I would turn my video off.
Yeah, it was funny.
I mean, I would keep my video off at any point unless I have to have it on for work or school or something like that. But
yeah, for sure. So what? so anyway, what I'm trying to say is this bad guy. This is a bad note to go out on. For your series finale baddie, but pretty fun. So Siler's joining the team, and he's dipped his toe in the hero waters, and he likes it.
Yeah, so he was like, so what it seemed like is Matt Parkman, who was a guy we have not met in the.
No.
He was not in the pilot.
Poor man's Jon Favreau.
He's a mind power man, and he like locked Sylar in a dream or something.
Yeah,
and then but then like Peter was in the dream too. And they said that it felt like they were in the dream for 5 years. Yeah. But really, like, Matt was like, you were in there for like a half a day or something like that. And then that came out, and Sylar was like, I'm a good guy now, guys. So I can't remember correctly, but I guess maybe so Sylar was a bad guy for 4 seasons. And then he was a good guy for
4 hours
one
in a dream. No, he's totally cool.
Totally good guy.
Peter totally talked him into it, which I assume is just the whole episode before this. Peter just
probably them in the
talking him into
that dream
being a good
world.
Guy. Yeah.
Because in the beginning of this episode, they were like coming out of a wall in a basement, presumably the physical representation of the dream escaping or whatever. Yeah. And then they make their way to so since they're out, then they make their way to the carnival. And whatever. And then Hero is at a hospital because he had brain surgery or something like that.
Something crazy.
But he seems completely fine, and he can use his powers.
Full recovery.
But then he meets like this old red-haired lady who was this girl named Charlie from some other season, or maybe earlier this last season.
Probably.
Who is now old.
Who is
who is she, Jamie?
Jamie Mays.
Wait, this is the young actor?
That's young Charlie.
Okay.
And she's in lots of stuff, but she's the like love interest in Glee and other movies, but
yeah, she's recognizable.
Yeah.
But then she's old, and then he was going to like bring her back to like correct the timeline where she got like zapped away at some point in some other episode. Then she was like, no Hero, I've got kids now, everything's great, I'm a grandma.
Grandkids, yeah.
So it was fine. So then he literally went to New York, teleported to the carnival so he could just teleport all those people away. That's what he did.
Yeah,
important, because then it made that shitty guy with his dumb powers become weak.
Yeah. Apparently saved the day, and it showed us that Ando has powers, which is super fun.
Yeah, Ando's fun.
So somehow he juiced up Hero so that he could teleport all those people at once.
I'm trying to remember. In my mind, there became like a serum or something that you could give to people so they could get powers that didn't have powers.
Okay. So all of this is just straight out of X-Men is what I'm understanding.
It's inspired. by X-Men.
Like
Yeah.
like Noah Bennett is just that like senator who's always like screaming, who just ends up being like his son is a mutant. His son is Sabretooth.
Oh yeah. But his son is Claire Bennett in this.
Which is funny because he doesn't know. Or does he? I mean, he does now by season 4, but
him. I think he
stuff.
knows she has powers the whole time.
okay. See, okay.
I think he knows before like she knows. Technically,
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Um,
If you're any sort of decent parent, you would know if your kid has superpowers.
he shook the baby one time and it didn't.
Jesus. He dropped it. And
Oh wait, she's fine. Oh, okay. Ooh, freebie.
Dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
We also had some quick Allie Larder. Is that
Allie
her name?
Larder. Yep. She was Nikki Sanders in the first episode,
Yeah.
and in this episode, she was Tracy Strauss.
So Mirrorverse Nikki.
I'm not sure she could turn into water now.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure.
Somehow she turned. It sounded like she was turning Claire and Noah into water as well.
I was trying to figure out if she was turning them into water or she was like blasting a big water hole. Because she said like, hope you can swim or something like that. And it was
that's true.
Do they need to be able to swim if you turn them into water?
She came through a small hole in the ground as water, and now she's blasting them out somehow. So.
Yeah. So she was in there for a second.
So crazy. So then we had there's 2 other people I can think of. Well, 3. One is we saw this like multiple man a bunch of times who apparently works for
He works for the Carney Man for Samuel.
Evil Butterfly Samuel. And then but he turns on him like everyone else pretty much does.
Yep.
Just decides to be good at the end. Then Samuel also has another henchman named Doyle.
Yep. The marionette guy.
Is that what he's?
He could
a puppet master?
he could control people.
Oh, so he was controlling Emma's cello playing.
Yeah, he was controlling Emma to play the cello to attract the people because she didn't want to do it.
I guess that makes a little more sense as to why she was bleeding then as like a professional cellist.
Because she was like trying.
Because he was
probably forcing her fingers onto it.
She's not.
I was thinking, I was going too deep into it in my thoughts because I was like, if he's controlling her, does that mean he needs to have a basic understanding of how cello works?
He would also need to be able to play cello. Right? I feel. Yeah, that's a good point. Also, you said so that lady is deaf in real life.
Yeah, IMDb said she was
super
like
cool,
mostly deaf. I think from an early age. So
I thought, well, okay, I'll get there because there's 2 other people. One is a lady named Laura who
that other
was
blonde
never
lady
around when Tracy was there, but it's just also blonde.
Yeah, from the first scene, Jimmy was like, I was like, that's not Allie Larder. And Jimmy's like, that's totally Allie Larder. And then Allie Larder showed up, and we're like, maybe that was. And then she showed up again, and I'm like, that is not her. It's just like an older blonde lady.
Yeah,
not old, but like slightly older than Allie Larder.
Sure.
Like Allie Larder's like young looking mom.
Yeah. Maybe like an older sister if there's some middle siblings in between.
Yeah, a young aunt, maybe.
Yeah, maybe Allie was an oops. But so I recognized her once I realized it wasn't Allie Larder from the show Angel, which I still haven't finished, so I'll have to do it.
Which is essentially a superhero show.
Yeah,
Yeah, I haven't finished Angel, and I'd be honored to watch the finale of Angel on this podcast.
Excellent. I had a season left, and I was like, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait for.
Well, we're not going to watch the whole last season here, Jimmy.
No, I know, but I didn't even want to ruin it for myself.
Perfect.
So I watched the rest of The Strain instead, which was actually a pretty dope show.
Wasn't The Strain like episode 6?
Yeah, 100%.
You've been watching that show for
Yeah,
For literally
set it down.
years.
I really set it down for a long
Yeah.
time, and I don't know why, because it is so good. Like it's anyway. There was one other person, and that was Ray Park,
Yeah, Darth Maul himself.
Darth Maul, freaking Toad from X-Men. How many superheroes can we get out of one character in this show?
I just remember he was like he flashed on the screen at the beginning, and I was like, was that Toad from X-Men? And you were like, no.
I was like, no way.
because that guy was Darth Maul. And then I looked it up on IMDb, and he's like, well, his picture is Darth Maul. So I
I
think
did
that's
not
it.
believe they could get Ray Park in this, but they did. And what what I love about all of that is that Ray Park is Scottish in real life and also in this show. He's like trying to mask he's like a terrible actor. Like I'm just gonna straight up and say that he's an awesome stunt guy. Like as Toad, as Darth Maul, just so freaking iconic. Like they should not allow him to speak or try to act at all.
I mean, he said like 30 words total.
Yeah, and they were so bad. But not as bad as the freaking main baddie. He's so it was like just as that character's awful, but also he was like talking with some sort of like Irish or Scottish or some kind of accent.
Yeah, he had some sort
He's
of.
from like Ohio.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Ugh.
And so here's my deal.
Well, Americans shouldn't do accents
No,
because we can't do that.
can't do him.
We can do the dumb fucking accent of wherever we're from, and that's it.
Yeah. For whatever reason, everyone from everywhere else can
it,
do
yeah.
our accents so well and do accents from all over the world. We can't do it.
No, we can't.
And it's like to a point where it's like it's racist. It's not okay. It's not okay. But what bothers me so much is that every other freaking character in this whole show, like I was thinking up until that point, like even up until this finale, this is one of the most diverse shows we have to have ever watched.
Yeah, I mean, well, because like Japanese people,
Like the pilot alone, every freaking other
India.
character is like a different like nationality, and they're like straight up from, it's not Americans doing shitty accents.
Right.
Like they did such a good job, and they carry it forward a little bit for sure, because they've got like deaf like lady playing deaf lady stuff.
yeah,
you know?
and that's obviously not common just in general.
Right.
Yeah,
It's
very
super
few
dope.
shows.
But then they throw this one main baddie and have him speak in a fucking like some kind of accent.
Maybe that's their way of making him be even badder.
You just hate him so much.
Look at how terrible this is.
Because like,
Yeah, everything about that bad guy is just not good. His motivation
Yeah.
obviously doesn't make sense. The minute he's explaining like I'm gonna do this, it's like what's your end game then? I
Yeah.
don't know what his plan.
just a mass murder suicide.
Literally after, yeah, right? Like literally after you killed like 1,000 people, 2,000 whatever, you killed those people at the circus.
Circus is over, dude.
Those people are dead. Your circus people are gonna be like, holy crap, dude, we didn't sign up for this shit, and they're gonna leave.
Yeah.
And then the world's gonna know that you're a superhero guy,
Yeah.
and then that's it.
Good
Right
Lord.
now, and so I mean Claire, that's also stupid, by the way. Claire also like climbed up the Ferris wheel and jumped off and
Oh yeah.
in front of the news people at the end, and
Yeah.
like showed to them that she can't get hurt or whatever. And it's like nobody else is gonna like, because I don't think Claire as a person is gonna say Peter Petrelli's got powers. Like she's not gonna do that.
Right.
She's not gonna point out other people, but she's gonna say like I have powers, and maybe she'll say other people do too. But it's like
Yeah.
all you did was screw yourself over, because like there's
Now
maybe
they're coming for you.
they're gonna definitely come for you, and maybe some other people are gonna like come out. But
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's like the I mean there's definitely lots of iterations of this, but like in Avengers, it's Vision saying like our power keeps like bad guys like stepping up to our power, like our presence brings up like the danger for everybody, you know? So like she's putting herself out there, and now some bad guy somewhere who for sure has powers is going to be like, now it's my whole goal to just murder Claire, you know, to figure out how to do it just to say that I can.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like Batman didn't come around because Scarecrow was there. Like Scarecrow was like, oh shit, yeah, I can do this. This is fun.
Yeah.
Joker didn't exist until Batman existed.
Yeah. It's the classic tale.
A little fun fact before we get into predictions and just kind of talk quick about how this was a finale, is the finale itself. The title was called A Brave New World. That was the episode,
right? And
this was quote unquote. It was season 4, volume 4. It wasn't called. What was it called? Gosh, I have it here. It was called Redemption. Is what the volume 4 Redemption was over. And then at the end it said volume 5 coming. You know, A Brave New World, and it had like 3 minutes of a little thing kind of leading into a to be continued, because you pointed out while we were watching it that they did not know they were getting canceled until after this was done.
So they had a whole setup where she jumps off. Yeah. Where she jumps off, and while she's climbing up, all the other heroes see her going up there and are individually, one by one, like, what's she doing? Like, oh crap.
The only person that seemed like totally fine with it was Sylar, the newly not bad guy.
Yeah, he was super into it.
He was like, dope.
It's like, you've been a good guy for 2 seconds.
I think the world knew he was like a murderer though already. Like, I think he's not allowed to be just around.
Yeah, you know, the rules change when you're a hero all of a sudden.
Yeah,
all the bad things that you did don't matter anymore.
Well, so the fun thing about that is that Heroes Reborn, the Triad reboot series that came out in 2015, 5 years after this, the very first episode of that is called A Brave New World.
Okay, good.
Except Hayden Panettiere is not in this, in the show at all. Most of the people, I think the guy who plays Noah Bennett is in it.
Okay.
And I think he's the only one from OG Heroes that is in A Heroes Reborn.
Senator Lipton
from The Office.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Jack Coleman is his name.
So, as a finale, obviously it wasn't, but it was still a season finale at least.
Yeah.
And now we're going to count it as a series finale.
Right.
How was that one for you?
Honestly, it just made me want to watch X-Men. Watch some Toad.
Yeah, we definitely found a lot of parallels.
Yeah. I mean, this show legitimately, and I don't know if I didn't dive deep enough to see like how the writer's strike might have affected this like season particularly.
Right.
But even like, I don't know, like the circus thing, like that's even kind of weirdly played out in like superhero stuff and comic stuff, and like,
yeah, like they're misfits and that's what heroes are, like with secret powers, and it's a little on the nose.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I think that's exactly my problem with this, is that this was all super on the nose.
Yeah. I feel like this episode, even for you having not seen it, me not really remembering anything that's happening, had happened. Yeah, it's just like, what's this guy's motivation? I'm not on board. Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm not on board with a bad guy winning or doing whatever. Sure. But at least when a bad guy, like, he was just being bad to be bad. He wasn't like, he was being bad to show the world he had powers. He wasn't like a bad guy where you're like, oh, he thinks he's like being good, or like he's doing this for a reason. He was just silly.
Just a murderer.
He was just a guy from Ohio being with a silly accent.
Just a con man, carny murderer.
With his buddy Darth Maul. Just hanging out.
Where did he find these folks?
Yeah. I mean,
interesting.
All in all, for any of you that haven't watched Heroes at all, I would say watch season 1 have a really good time.
Yeah.
And then consider that the end of Heroes in your journey.
Yeah.
Because the writer strike, I feel like, really messed up season 2. This is memory for me now, but
Yeah.
I feel like it never got back to season 1 quality, which is, you know, besides
tough.
writer strike, also happens with a lot of shows.
Yeah, you could say that exact same thing about any show that was on before the writer's strike and continued on.
Yeah.
It's a tough crawl back. I think that The West Wing got there. For sure. But that's a whole nother episode that we already did. So, predictions?
Let's do it. I'll go first. Number 1, I said Peter saves a child. I mean,
No children.
there was probably children in that crowd.
There was tons of
but,
children in the crowd.
He didn't like save a child, you know. Sylar sheds blood. Well, he's a good boy now, so he doesn't shed blood.
Yeah.
I really thought they were going to go back to that marionette guy and he was going to be just like dead.
That would have been awesome, actually.
He can still as
like
he's
he's
a hero.
good guy, but he like doesn't understand yet, like that he can't go that far as a good guy.
Well, also that man's he's a terrible man that was
Yeah.
He could have killed
Could
him.
have strung him
It would
up
have been fine.
a little bit at least.
He didn't do it.
Rough him up.
There's a different dimension / world. I mean, there wasn't in this episode.
Yeah, I don't know if I would consider the astral plane a different dimension.
I mean, if they were in that plane when the episode was actually happening, I would have fought for it. But there was no point in this episode where they were actually in it, and I thought it was playing. It was taking place in this episode. That was what.
Sure.
So,
And it's kind of seemed like the way they set it up that's what was gonna happen, but that's not really.
But literally, they were stepping out of an actual wall, being like, "We got free
again."
So they were
on
never
the
in
nose.
it.
It broke through the wall.
Yeah. But this one, the bad guy is trying to kill humans without powers, and that was exactly what he was doing.
Guy, that was, apparently is his whole motivation.
His whole game plan was to kill 3,000 carnival goers that weren't power people.
Yeah,
I'm taking that point.
All right. Oh, I don't think I got anything. Let's see. Oh,
I think you got some.
Peter flies and has a second power. We only saw him have 2 powers.
He flew into Samuel and then immediately started using Samuel's powers.
Yeah.
Did he have them at the same time? That part's inconclusive.
Oh, yeah, right. Because you said that at some point he can only have 1 at a time.
There was some part, and I think maybe it happened after season 1, beginning of season 2, where season 1 he could take just as many powers as he could have.
Yeah.
All he had to do was touch the person or something like that.
Touch him and touch him.
And then he got amnesia or some trope bullshit thing, and then he couldn't have any powers, and then he figured out how to take 1 at a time. But that was season 2. So I don't know if he ever found it out. I was really bummed about that because I feel like they had a guy that was awesome and could do anything, and then they nerfed him. Yeah, but he was he could only be as super as the people he ran into. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
So whatever. But I'm counting that because he flew and then he used another power, and it's basically what you said.
Yeah. Okay. Then number 2, I said that Sylar can't die, which we have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I really think that's true, but I don't know that.
It was inconclusive by watching this.
If at this point Sylar hadn't stole the cheerleader's powers, what's he doing with his life? Good or bad?
Did we see? I feel like we didn't see him use any powers whatsoever.
Nothing.
We didn't even see him beat up Doyle.
We literally he looked at Doyle ho, let's go, boy.
And
that was
in trouble.
Well, actually, and Emma, the cello lady's the one that knocked Doyle out too.
Yeah. With
So
cello powers.
literally, we saw Sylar use no powers.
Yeah. As far as we know, he has 0 powers.
Yeah.
Okay. Then, so nothing there. Then number 3, that I thought Hero was going to use his teleportation against people. There's an X-Man like that. Blink. She's a later gal.
Okay.
Anyway, it just opens up portals and stuff. So,
But no, he only used it to save people.
he only used it for good, and still sending himself. And then I thought that Sylar was gonna die. No death.
No.
Whatsoever in
It's a
this
shame.
episode.
It's a shame that when they did Heroes Reborn 5 years later, that they couldn't get, and maybe they did. I guess I never watched it, but the main cast of characters is obviously not anybody from Heroes besides Noah Bennett. And I just, at least to make it go and be a little bit more, it would have been like, hey, could you get Hayden for 1 episode? Could you get the guy who played Peter for like 2? Could you have gotten, I mean, Zachary Quinto has probably already been Spock at least once by then, right?
Right.
I forget when the first Star Trek
big
movie came out.
Ooh, that's really what this makes me want to watch is just Star Trek.
I went off on a tangent. I got 1 point and you got 1 point.
Yeah.
For all you point takers out there.
We did it.
So there's that. That's Heroes. We did it. Suck on that, Joe. But hey, listeners, come back next week when we do another one. I bet Joe will be back. Most likely, it'll be the Three Amigos back again.
Hey.
3 Pasta Amigos.
Pasta Amigos?
I don't know. I was trying to come up.
Sounds delicious.
Trying to come up with something. Didn't work. If you would like to do show suggestions or give us comments, concerns, whatever you want, you can hit us up at FNL Podcast on the Gmail or on the Twitter. Do that. That'd be great. You're listening to us on some sort of listening device. If it has a rating of stars or a thumbs up or something, pop a rating. That'd be great. It'd be helpful. We would like that. That's kind of it. That's kind of what we got going on. We'll see you next week for another First and Last. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.